It's time for the League Lowdown!
Welcome to the League Lowdown. I can't believe it, but we are already into week 5, or the halfway point of the season, where legends are made and playbooks get torched. I'm your host, Coach Mayhem, forged in the Marine Corps and fueled by my wife Nikki's cooking. And next to me is the guy who's got all the SOL knowledge locked down tighter than my grandma's lasagna recipe. Suburban One Insiders, oh!
What's up, Mayhem? How we doing today? Everything seems pretty good around here. It is week 5. I can't believe it. We're halfway through the season. Let's get ready to kick off this episode with our week 4 scoreboard and recap.
CDS Wealth Management is a proud sponsor of the League Lowdown.
Hope Salisbury got walloped 58-7 by Thomas Edison. William Tennant was blanked by Haverford 61-0. And Edinburgh bested Upper Moreland 35-24.
Springfield Monco put a hurting on Lower Moreland 42-14 behind another dominant performance by Nathan Torrealba, who went 10 for 13 with 213 yards and 6 TD passes. I believe they said that was a school record. Junior quarterback also carried the ball 11 times for 127 yards. That's right. 340 total yards and 6 TDs. Zamir Small had 5 carries for 25 yards and hauled in 3 passes for 79 and 2 more scores. Logan Curacio's 5 catches for 120 yards and had 2 TD scores there. PW dropped a close one to Manheim Township, 37-31. Kind of shocked at the outcome of that game. Thought it might be a little bit bigger, but that's a good job by P-Dub. And Quakertown took care of business down in the nest at Ben Salem. Brady Martin was lights out again for the Panthers, throwing for 210 yards and a TD. Kyler Rosener had himself a night, and he totaled 162 total yards in the contest.
Central Bucks West rolled through Abington 43-15 behind a strong performance by running back Nick Mileto. Mileto had 136 yards and 3 touchdowns in the victory and took home CDS Wealth Player of the Game honors for the effort. Happer Horsham lost another close one, this time to West Philadelphia 30-22. Still looking for that elusive W. Upper Dublin got their first win of the season after defeating Council Rock North 25-14. Congrats to Coach Stover and the Cardinals.
All right, the Saturday Big Red prevailed 48-7 over Harry Truman. Efforts led by senior quarterback Ben Walsh. He was 12 of 13, 162 yards, 2 tutties. Hunter Smeltz and Chase Hart each hauled in a touchdown pass. CB South edged CB East 21-14. Gavin Graham and Cade Krim combined for 18 carries, almost 200 yards rushing, and 3 TDs in the win. And the Pennridge Rams remained undefeated after blanking Pennsbury 14-0. Ryan Rowe paced the backfield with 124 yards and a total of 13 carries.
Wissahickon remains undefeated after taking down Sun Valley 27-14. Upset alert. Down goes number 1 North Penn to Neshaminy, 18-14. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm still kind of in shock with this one. North Penn led 14-12 at the half, but some unfortunate miscues in the second half led to some momentum changes where senior quarterback Michael Eckert took his team 92 yards downfield, and he sealed it with a 41-yard touchdown pass. Absolutely crazy outcome. But congratulations to Neshaminy on the big win and knocking off the big dogs.
I was getting text updates during the night from that game, and I'm going, there's no way. And then you watch the highlights, and you're like, there was a way. Holy cow. Sets up a big matchup this week for North Penn.
Absolutely. And finally, in my game of the week, Man, Cheltenham and Council Rock South battled it out in an old-fashioned Donnybrook to the tune of 28-20 in favor of the Golden Hawks. Cheltenham's Jimbo Smith, man, kid is a playmaker. Gave it everything he had. He scored Cheltenham's first touchdown, and then the very next drive, pick six to the house, put them up 14-0 early in the first half. But the Hawks, man, they never gave up. Coach C.J. Sidlick and those Golden Hawks just would not give up. They slowly chipped away at that Panther lead. The defense came out in the second half, and they got that second half goose egg. Nate Sidlick, Joey Madera, and Marley Emerson all took home CDS Wealth Players of the Game. Sidlick had 133 total yards on the night and a touchdown. He also, on the defensive side, 3 sacks. Kid is just absolutely tremendous player. Madera had 2 receiving touchdowns from Emerson, and man, one of them, Emerson got away, rolled out to the right, thought he was getting ready to get sacked, and he found Madera wide open, chucked it up to him, and he caught it in the back of the end zone. Beautiful pass, man. Speaking of Emerson, he also threw for 107 yards in those 2 scores. So congratulations to the 3 of those student athletes for the honor.
All right. Hey, Mayhem, I'm going to call our first time out of the night. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors and get back to you on this week's upcoming schedule.
Every Suburban One insider knows that it's never too soon to build your legacy. Get started today at www.cdswealth.com.
Welcome back, insiders. First off this week, Neshaminy's heading to Abington, then Salem heads to Cheltenham, and CB South marches into War Memorial Stadium to take on the Bucks.
Truman's heading up to Rock North. One of these 2 teams will get their first win of the season. Council Rock South will defend Walt Snyder Stadium again against Upper Dub, and Happer Horsham is home against Academy Park.
North Penn travels to Hellman Field to take on the undefeated Rams, which is probably going to be an awesome game. PW is home against Penwood, and Quakertown heads down 309 to take on Solderton in the 309 Bowl.
Springfield Montco has a home game against Father Judge. Interesting matchup. Upper Moreland defends the Den against Westchester Henderson. And William Tennant is still looking for their first win, and they're going to host J.P. McCaskey High School out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Wissahickon tries to remain undefeated as they travel to Innerborough. And in my game of the week, Pennsbury travels to Patriot Stadium to take on CB East. And as always, I'll be there bringing you all the updates as they unfold before and during the game. Make sure you're following me on all my socials. Up next, let's talk about last week and our predictions. Our first game, we went with Quakertown versus Ben Salem, and I went with the Panthers, and OG took the Owls. Quakertown won 21-7. 1 for Mayhem, 0 for OG. In our second game, we both lost by picking East over South. Titans won 21-14 and proved us both wrong. It was me, 1-1, and OG, 0-2.
Hold up. I don't think you're right on that one. If you go back and look at that rewind from last week, I said I maybe agree with you, but actually in the end of my statement, I said I do pick CB South because the Titan Terror would actually be there to support the Titans. So I'm 1-1.
All right.
All right. So our third game, I got another one in the win column by picking West Philly over Happer Horsham. The Speed Boys gave me a record of 2-1, and Mayhem is now 1-2. Wah, wah. Next up, we both took Springfield over Lower Moreland. I'm now 3-1. Mayhem's catching up, 2-2.
And in our last game, you beat me again for the second week in a row by picking Manheim Township over the Colonials of PW. PW lost 30-22, making my weekly record drop to 2-3. And you, of course, 4-1.
Never bet against the fighting Jim Furix. Get used to this, Mayhem. I got you covered in the whole second half of the season. All right. All right, let's see what we got this week. I think we got to go with a rivalry game to start us off. We got CB South and CB West. Now, this is a tough one for me to pick. CB West alumni, I coached there, I taught there, but I'm kind of a South alumni too, as I was in the first group of teachers that ever worked in that building, and I was a stadium announcer for 6 years. So I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm not rooting against West. I'm sorry. I'm going to go West by at least 6.
All right, all right. You know, OG, I am torn here too. I think I'm gonna go. I think I know it's gonna be a close one. These rivalry games are always close. I don't think I can do it. I think I'm going West by a point.
All right, we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's go for the battle of the first dub of the year, Rock North versus Truman. I've seen Truman in person. I think they have a lot of things to work on. I really do. I think they have some talented athletes, but I think they got a lot of things to work on. So I'm going to go with Rock North in a semi-close game. You know, Truman's given up about 40 points a game. I think they're going to hold a little bit tighter, but I think Rock North is going to get the edge.
Yeah, I'm taking CR North 2 by a tutty. I think you're right on that one too. All right. Let's see. Another one, another rivalry. Here we go. How about the 309 Bowl? That's definitely going to be an electric game for sure, but I am torn as who to pick here, OG. I think Souderton and Quakertown battle out in a tight one, but I think the only thing of separation here is going to be Souderton with that home field advantage.
So first off, this is a great rivalry, a great trophy game, right? You got the little brown jug, you got all those other trophies that take place in the Big Ten. But I think this has been a pretty good battle the last several years. I know Souderton's had some really good teams, but Quakertown's had some really good teams. I think that Souderton is going to get this win. I'm not sure if it's really about home field advantage because that is not a great venue to play a football game in. The fans are so far away. But I think Quakertown's defense showed me something last week over Ben Salem. So I think Souderton's got the edge, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Let's go with speaking of Ben Salem, let's go Cheltenham versus Ben Salem. I mean, after watching the Panthers last week, I know Ben Salem is good here, and you've seen them in person, but I think the Panthers are going to go with this one. I'm going Panthers by 2 scores.
2 scores. That's a lot of points, I think. It depends. If Cheltenham can get the big throws going, I think that's, we saw Quakertown did that a little bit against Ben Salem last week. I think they got the advantage. Cheltenham still has to stop a great ground attack. I am going to go with Cheltenham in this game. I think it's just a slight edge, though. Even though they beat Neshaminy, right? I still am not 100% all in on Cheltenham. And like you said, I did see Ben Salem play, and I think their running backs are pretty darn talented.
For sure. All right. OG, I think, in my opinion, I think a lot of people are going to agree with me here, but go for the true game of the week here. North Penn versus Pennridge. I know Pennridge is rolling on all cylinders, but is North Penn too powerful? Knights slay the Rams and claws a cluster in the top 5. That's what I'm saying. I think it happens.
Well, it hasn't happened since 2012, and it's only happened 2 times in the last 25 years that the Rams beat the Knights, both at Poppy Yoder Field, the old stadium at Pennridge. But this is a tough one for me to pick, OG. All right, Coach Beck and I go back many years to when he had graduated from CB West and I was coming in a couple years later. We have a really good relationship. And the Rams are part of my daily life. Okay. So I think this is a lose-lose pick for OG. So I'm going to abstain from making a pick, but I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think Hellman Field is going to be packed. North Penn always brings a crowd. Their student section will be pretty large because their school's like 5 times the size of Pennridge. But I think it's going to be a good football game. And we're going to see the number 1 team and the number 2 team in our poll matching up in week 5. That's pretty cool. So Friday night should be a good game. And next week we'll have lots to talk about that game.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, OG. Think I'm going time out of here. Let's hit him.
Good. I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah, let's hit him with a word from our sponsor. And when we get back, my favorite segment of the show, OG's history lesson.
Want to see more of your game insiders? Check out the link galleries of DAHC images, photos by Tom, and Trisha Lynn photography by finding your power-packed action shots at www.suburban1insider.com.
Welcome back, insiders. We have time for one more segment, and it's my fave. OG's history lesson. What you got for us, my dude?
All right, so here we go. But before we start this week's lesson, we did not have any correct answers on our trivia question this week that we put out on social media. So the question was, what school or what team has the most District 1 championships in the last 10 years? We had a couple guesses. Upper Dublin was one of them. They have 4, but believe it or not, New Hope Soulbury comes in with 5 district championships the last 10 years. I know it's a 2A school, but they've had their ups and downs, but they're showing that they've got some pride and have had some really successful teams. So that's the trivia question. Stay tuned every week. I try to put a shit out on Monday or Tuesday so that we can give you a shout out on our weekly show. All right, so let's get to this week's history lesson. We talked about this earlier in the season. In week 1, Pennridge played their 1,000th game as a school. And on Friday night, Neshaminy will travel to Abington for their 1,000th game in school history. So with that being said, I got wondering and started digging to find out how many games our schools have played. As of Friday night, Neshaminy will be the 10th team out of 24 to reach the historic milestone of 1,000 games. It's impressive that 10 of our 24 schools, because we've talked about the history of this going back 100 years. But there's some information I want to share with you about these teams. And oh, by the way, hey kids, before 1995, when I was playing high school football, there was no overtime. So I'm going to tell you about some teams that had a lot of ties over their years before 1995. All right, so first off, in Suburban 1 League, Cheltenham has the most games played out of any of our schools. They have 1,150. They have a 49.7 winning percentage, and they had 36 ties. Now, what team do you think has the most wins during that time? I actually was a little bit shocked. I thought it might be a different school, but it comes in, it's North Penn. And look at the last 25 years. They've got a lot of wins. They have played 1,130 games and won 679 at a 61.7 clip. That's a pretty good record. Now, the team with the most ties, all right, that's played 1,128 games is Quakertown. Quakertown has kissed their sister, hopefully not Pennridge, but they've kissed their sister 46 times. That's a pretty cool stat in its own. They have a 49.9% winning percentage. Abington has 1,071 games, Wissahickon with 1,043, Souderton with 1,038, CB West with 1,033, and they have 663 wins. They have the highest winning percentage with 66% of their games ending in a big dub. Hatboro Horsham's got 1,015, and Pennridge is now at 1,003. Neshaminy will have their 1,000th game on Friday night. And then next up, waiting on deck, will be Upper Moreland. Upper Moreland has their finished their 981st game last week. So in the next 2 years, they'll get to the 1,000 mark. All right. But who are the young schools, right? We all know that CB South is about 20 years old. Rock South is about 22 years old. They both have 230, 246 wins. But New Hope Soulbury is the newest of our programs in Suburban 1. They have 222 games under their belt in the history of the school. It's pretty impressive. Now, I was a part of 33 games at CB West. All right. I was 27-5-1. That's a pretty good record. I was part of 33 more games as a coach. So I was part of 66 of the 1,033 games, just a small portion at CB West. So Mayhem, how many games Upper Moreland were you a part of?
Let's see, 99 to 03, man. We went 8-4 my freshman year, 6-4 sophomore year, 10-2 junior year, man. That 2001 team was like, they were really good. And then my senior year, we went 3-9. We lost to Jenkintown, a small school, us being the big 4A school at the time. So yeah, about the same. Not terrible, not great. Your winning percentage was definitely a lot better, but I think we went 27-19 while I was there. Not terrible, but definitely a good time, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for episode 5, Insiders. Good luck to all of the Suburban 1 this weekend. I'm Coach Mayhem.
And I'm OG. Insiders out.